Salutations everybody, this is IgbarVonSquid making a splash, and today I'm here to talk about Wynncraft's recent gameplay update. And for those uninformed, the gameplay update set out to change some of the stuff about Wynncraft that really needed to be changed. On the first changelog post about the gameplay update, Salted said this: "On the update, we focused a lot on the gameplay aspect of the game. We took a good look at our game and fixed what we thought was time to change. You guys gave us a lot of feedback since the Gavel expansion, and even though it sometimes stings to hear complaints about your game, we listened and fixed some of the issues we've been told about. And that should hopefully give you an idea of some of the stuff that's in this update, so now I'm going to be giving my opinion on all of the stuff." So first, we got the new powders, and I like those. It's nice. They're useful for different class builds, unlike before, where everyone just used the green powders because the rest were useless. And on top of that, it's especially neat that they now have power-ups and passive abilities. It's nice that it was fleshed out more and it wasn't just like, you know, brought back like, hey guys, here's elemental powders, they're back and better now. You know, they went that extra step. I really like that. I think as the first thing to talk about, it's good because it shows that there's actually been some real thought put into this update, and it wasn't just like haphazardly put together. So dungeons, they also got redone once again, this being maybe the third or fourth time. In some aspects, I like them, and in others, not so much. The new key system is pretty cool, and so are the new dungeon rewards you get for doing the dungeons multiple times, but a lot of the dungeons have this very obvious time waster aspect to them, where in order to continue, you have to kill a certain number of mobs and pick up their drops and then put them in hoppers in order to open the door to go on. It's, on one hand, I get the purpose of it, because there are new rewards for doing the dungeons, so people are clearly going to be bum rushing the dungeons for these rewards. So you kind of need something in place to be kind of a speed limit. But on the other hand, it makes parts of the dungeon really, really boring. The whole purpose of me being in a dungeon is to take a break from grinding, so why am I just grinding in a dungeon anyway? The animal dungeon probably did the best though, where instead of just killing every enemy that comes at you, only creepers have the drop you need to continue. This was so much more fun to do, because I actually had to do something besides spam click until the enemies were all dead. I had to put some thought into it, I had to seek them out. It was much more entertaining and actually felt more tense compared to the other ones, where you have all these like mobs coming at you and you're not really supposed to be killing them. So it added that sort of depth and kind of panic to it, alright? It was really good. Besides that, a lot of the new puzzles and parkour areas are way more interesting than they were before, so overall I'd say the dungeons are a step forward, but also kind of a little bit of a half step back, because that grind monsters to continue thing is like really off-putting. I mean, it's probably like a classic thing in like RPGs maybe, but you don't necessarily need to take every aspect from other RPGs, you know, you can do your own thing too, you don't need to go back to classics. And this update also added a handful of quests, which is a bit of a surprise to me actually. An update like this usually wouldn't add anything new like that, but here we are. Now, I didn't get to do Recipe for Disaster or the Fortune Teller, but I did all the others for the most part. My favorite one is probably the Hidden City, and my least favorite was probably question mark, which I'm sure comes as a surprise to some of you, but I'm gonna go over why it's not really a good quest. Now, don't get me wrong, because as a server-wide Easter egg hunt, question mark, that's a mouthful. I hope I don't have to say that like any more than that. As an Easter egg hunt server-wide event thing, it was like super well done, alright? Requiring people to work together, having a hint that could only be deciphered by having players read through their log files, and making a subforum to allow everyone to pool their knowledge together made for just like a really cool experience. That was like super good. But as an actual standalone quest, question mark, way too much of a hassle. So, the quest had already been figured out, so the puzzle elements are basically already out the window. You're just gonna look up how to do the puzzles, you're not gonna figure it out for yourself. You might try it, but with how some of the stuff is hidden, you're just not gonna figure it out by yourself. You kinda need to look it up. And the fact you have to try and coordinate with people over the internet brings me up to the final result that this quest, you do it once for the rewards. Past that, this is just not a quest you ever do again, because the XP, it could be a quest that levels you up from like 90 to 100 instantly. I still would not do it more than once, because it's just not worth it. And I never say that about any quest. No matter the hassle, I always do a quest every single time. And this is the first quest to ever make me say, it's not worth doing more than once. Again though, as an event, it was so good, but take away the context of the event and it falls really flat. If I could change it, I'd probably make it so you could do it solo, make the hints easier, and may remove some of the steps that make this quest take like 5 hours. But that's probably not happening, so we're just stuck with that, sadly. So there was some other miscellaneous stuff that was done for this update, and most of it is small, but still pretty awesome in their own rights. Some of the towns were redesigned, not just in terms of buildings, but also like the NPCs. For example, Rymek and Pirate Town now have citizens that will fight back if you attack them, which is like an atmospheric change, because they're kind of like thug cities, you know, gangsters. So I really like that. Also in towns, you can find NPCs that serve no purpose except to give you small bits of dialogue, and I think that's actually really cool too. But even better is that some of the things they talk about refer to a quest, and after completing that quest, their dialogue will change to match it. And I think that's really good attention to detail. I like that a whole lot. And even better, there's now a sailboat you can go on, and it'll take you to basically every major island or port city in the ocean, and it'll fast travel you to other parts of the ocean too. And this was a really needed change. People have been waiting for something like this ever since the ocean update came out, which was like nearly 3 years ago. Also relate to the ocean, which to many may seem like a small change, but actually really is a big change because it opened the door for other stuff down the line. Reef diving. This is something that wasn't even like mentioned in the changelogs, and most people probably missed it unless they did the new Temple Legends quest. But all you gotta do is you gotta grab a breathing helmet, head east to Selchar with an empty inventory, and start picking up all the items that drop around this reef. Then, after you got your pockets full of stuff, you just head back to Selchar, talk to this guy, and sell all of it, and you can rake in tons of money. Again, it seems like kind of a small change, but what this essentially is like a side job. Something you could do to take a break from grinding and questing and dungeoning and just do something nice and relaxing while actually still, you know, being productive and earning money. And I love this so much, and I'd love to see more of this side content like this. Like, for example, maybe there could be like a mine with sort of like mystery ores that you can kill, and they drop like a random ore that you can then smelt or sell to a smith. Now, something like that could open the door for maybe like smelting your own like armor and weapons, kind of like in Skyrim. So instead of item farming, you could mine a bunch of ores, take them to a smith, and then just have it make like a random item around your level. You can maybe throw in like powders in there too, so it increase the chance of giving you an item of that element type. And you could also throw in some other type of item to increase the chance of getting rare or legendary. And I'm getting off track, but you know, I'm sure you see how reef diving might be the first step into other side jobs like mining or fishing or chopping wood. Just fun little side content like that, because I love that. There's also the addition of a sprint bar, which I guess is an improvement over using mana for sprinting like it was before, but if you're not using like any good speed buffs, it really feels like it drains just like way too quickly. That might just be personal opinion, but it just feels way too short and regenerates like super slowly too. It's probably better than it was before, but it doesn't really feel like it, you know? And finally, what I'm sure some of you have been waiting for me to talk about, the changes to XP and how that affects grinding. The first part of the change is that quests will only give a static amount of XP, and the amount you get cannot be changed by XP bonus items or even by double XP bombs, except during double XP weekends. Some think this is totally unfair, but I have to say that this was also a pretty needed change. And I was definitely one of those people who like to wait until double XP before turning in a major quest, and if I was impatient and didn't wait, I'd feel regret next time double XP came up. So having it so that the XP is always the same removes that bit of regret, and on top of that, quest XP has been pretty much doubled on most quests to compensate for it, so definitely a win-win in that regard, I think. But the part that matters to me, and probably a lot of other people, is the XP changes to just flat out mob grinding, because I'm sure most of you know I absolutely loathe being forced to grind. I don't mind grinding for items or just because I want to overlevel or something, but that's a decision that I make, and I don't like being forced into grinding before I can continue the next bit of content. And so a big part of this update was that the XP you earn is pretty much doubled in the higher levels compared to what it was before, and my thoughts are that it's good enough, I guess. In this case, it's more the thought that counts, but I still don't think the grinding has really been, like, fixed. But to be fair, that's not really because the XP changes, it's more about the fact that the stretch between level 90 and level 100 is almost completely barren of quests. So in order to continue, you have to do an enormous amount of grinding. It's like 4 levels before you get to, like, Recipe for Disaster, then it's about another 3 levels to the Fortune Teller, and then it's another 3 levels to level 100. So, you know, it's just not worth grinding out. It's just not doing it. You just don't do that. So right now, I would actually say that Wynncraft has a soft cap of 90. Alright, the hard cap is obviously level 100, or 101 I think now, so you cannot go beyond 101, but I'd say that once you get to about level 90, you're getting diminishing returns for, you know, you're spending so much more time into the game than you're gonna get out of it. So, I'd say, that's why I said the soft cap is at, like, 90. But before that, like, level 90 point, I did like the system that seemed to be developing, where you'd level up, do a quest, and then when you finish that quest, you'd get 60% of your XP bar filled, and you'd have to grind the remaining 40%. Because I do understand you can't just have quest after quest after quest. You do need grinding in between to kind of break it up a little bit. But if it takes between like an hour to an hour and a half, I think you're just wasting way too much time. But overall, this update was pretty good, and I liked a lot of the changes, and I'm glad they finally cared enough to fix some of the long-standing issues. If you've been on the fence about getting back into Wynncraft or not, this update's a good time to come in and check it out, see if you like it, up to about like level 90, and then to that point it's up to you. You can keep going 100 if you like, or you can just stop at 90, because I'd personally say that Wynncraft ends at like level 90 right now. There's no hard feelings if you don't go to 100. I personally won't be returning to Wynncraft quite yet. I'm gonna wait until there's more content for those higher levels, because I have this sort of weird thought where I don't feel like I can really do Wynncraft content again unless I'm at level 100. But luckily, from the sound of things, it seemed like the gameplay update was a bit of a sudden thing, and that there was other stuff being worked on that was like put on pause for the gameplay update. So whatever comes next, I can only hope adds more quests for level 90 areas, but until then, I'm just gonna continue doing my own thing. That's about the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and I'd actually like to quickly do something I don't usually do. I like to give a shout out to Nani Clorax on Twitter, who's been there for pretty much all my recent live streams, and also drawn some of my favorite fan art of myself, though admittedly any fan art of me is my favorite fan art. But it's you guys, the fans, who help me to realize that my YouTube videos are still appreciated, and it motivates me to keep working. So I might do more shoutouts in the future for those people who really motivate me to keep going at it, because obviously, you know, I don't really upload that often. So I guess maybe it's a bit of a guilt trip, you know, where it's like, oh, these people, they want more videos and I haven't been doing that. Maybe I should do that more, you know, that kind of thing. So thanks for making it this far. See you next time.